Welcome back. Well, market's still in fine fettle. Perhaps I should just pull out one stock for you, Majesco. I mean, it's a crazy rally that you have seen in that stock, and the last few minutes have literally taken it to stratospheric levels. That's a stock which we discussed with Dipen Seth this morning. It's an HDFC Securities favoured stock, but it's been doing very well for some time now. Let's get to talking about other stocks. Gautam Trivedi, the Managing Director and CEO of Religare Capital, joins us now on their Content and Communications Day. But Gautam, good afternoon. Thanks for joining. Before we get to the content and communication space, there is yet another space that's running away at this point in time, the PSU banking space. Yeah. Just what's happening there? One can post facto do a lot of analysis and say that some of the bad loans are now on the fringes, turning out to be less bad. But why such a rally?
I think the fact is that there has been a spate of SDRs that have taken place where investors are clearly impressed that the PSU banks are finally cracking down on companies that have been errant and that haven't been able to pay back their debt. So I think the fact is that this is finally becoming a reality. And banks have been threatening investors in return. Investors in these banks have been telling the banks to do so. And finally it's happening. You heard about Kingfisher's airlines assets being now auctioned. So I think that is clearly a positive sign. It's a baby step, but it's definitely a positive sign that the banks are now finally serious about recovering their NPAs.
So more to go?
Oh, definitely more to go, because the fact is, once the big bank, which is SBI, starts doing it, the others will invariably follow. And it's a very positive sign. I think the fact that Mr. Jayakumar at Bank of Baroda has also been pretty quick in kitchen sinking the NPL issue and then going aggressively after defaulters is a very, very positive sign.
Okay. Gautam, hi, good afternoon. Tell us a little bit about this Content and Communications Day. We have been speaking with a lot of your analysts and colleagues through the course of the day, but how has the day progressed and what have the key takeaways been?
Yeah, I think the fact is that this is, I think, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for stocks and companies that are going to hugely benefit from the upcoming broadband penetration and the 4G implementation. As you know, Airtel's already launched their 4G product. Reliance Jio will be out pretty soon, which I think among all of the telecom operators seems to be the most ambitious and the biggest in terms of capex and the breadth and the scope. You've got Vodafone potentially launching in December, and then Idea, I guess, sometime middle of next year. So I think what I think is really at the essence of this entire 4G revolution, and the best way to play this is really look at content companies that have IP. So we have two companies in particular today meeting investors. One is Shemaru and the other is Saregama. Shemaru's got a lot of video content. Saregama's got over 3 lakh audio content, 3 lakh songs. So I think this is content that's sitting there and has been being utilized for mostly television purposes, but now we'll get a new lease of life with the implementation of 4G, coupled with the increasing and quick penetration of smartphones. So this basically brings content into your hands, and literally into your hands, and it's just more easily accessible once 4G penetration increases as well.
But for investors or viewers who are watching you right now, what kind of potential do you see in these two stocks? Because a stock like Shemaru has already given you about 65% returns this year. Is it too late to get into this game, or do you think there's a lot more potential?
Well, there's huge potential. I think this is only the beginning. I mean, just because the stock's gone up 65% doesn't necessarily mean it's too late. The reason I say that is because 4G penetration hasn't even begun yet, right? We've only seen one operator launch, and again, we've heard mixed things so far with respect to the penetration of Airtel's network and the quality of the network, in different parts, at least in the city of Mumbai, for example. So I think as this becomes more widespread, and again, more of the operators launch aggressively LTE-based 4G services, within the next 12 months, I think the content download is going to just go up 10x. And as a result of that, you will see revenues of these companies going up significantly and growing significantly. So I think this is just the beginning. It's the tip of the iceberg for both these companies, and not just these two companies, but even companies that have a lot of content and will hopefully start to monetize them.
But which are these exactly? I mean, I get your point on Saregama and Shimaru if they play it well, but which else? And would it be disruptive for some other types like, you know, broadcasting companies, or for that matter, arrival of payment banks harming someone else? Who would be the other advantaged and who would be the disrupted companies?
Like I said, I think companies within the content space that are sitting on content and that have IP on the content will significantly benefit. So at the same time, of course, there'll be aggregators like a Savan or a Ghana.com that will benefit. They're not listed, unfortunately, but I think a lot of these aggregators in the PE side of the business will clearly be huge beneficiaries. But I think the fact is, you know, the other thing I was discussing with investors today is the travel time that's increased significantly because of ongoing traffic, the advent of so many cars. So for example, for me personally, it takes me in the morning at 7:30 about 10 minutes to get to work, but it takes me an hour and 10 minutes to get back home. So what am I doing on a lot of days? I'm actually downloading music or movies and actually watching it on my way back home. And that will intensify as I get 4G and as 4G penetration and the speeds to download actually significantly improve.
Oh yes, we're all in the same boat. We all have equally long travel times and we're all users of Ghana.com, Savan, etc. So we know where this is coming from. But before we let you go, Gautam, apart from these sectors that you spoke about, and we also discussed PSU banks, anything else that you're recommending investors to buy now or to increase their allocation to?
Yeah, I think, I'm not sure if you guys have seen our report on the 7th Pay Commission, but I think we've done some pretty interesting analysis on what stocks benefited from the previous two pay commission hikes. And the number that came in on an average of 23.6% was pretty close to the number that we were forecasting, 26 to 28% hikes in basic pay. So as a result, I think stocks like the two-wheeler companies, we like Hero versus Bajaj, and Maruti, I think all these stocks will hit new highs, and we continue to recommend these going forward because the fact is the pay commission gets implemented as soon as the 1st of Jan, which is literally 6 weeks away.
Yeah, just a possibility that this time Apple iPhones and Samsung smartphones could be as much advantaged as Indian two-wheelers. But Gautam, the more immediate issue that we would like a comment on is news that the Prime Minister has reached out to Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi and Manmohan Singh on the GST issue. First, as a market investor, should we therefore bet that it is round the corner? For a trader, that's very important information. And two, how would you play it?
You know, I think you can't really, we can't expect it to be around the corner. As much as I'd like it, I'd be very happy to find out if it actually does get passed in this session of the Parliament. Honestly, it's very political, and it's honestly in the hands of the opposition to finally decide if they want to help out the BJP and get the GST passed. Everybody knows that it's in the interest of the country, and the reality is, you know, it's more ego than anything else that is really stopping it from getting through. Because let's not forget, it was the UPA government that introduced GST in the first place, so they should be agreeing to help pass it in the upper house. But the fact is, it's more ego than anything else.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Gautam Trivedi, pleasure speaking with you. Thank you very much for joining us and speaking to us on all these issues. Well, there is a separate problem for stock markets, not cast its shadows over the Indian equity market today, but I'm referring to the sell-off in China. Europe as well is subdued.